Hello everyone, welcome back to the James A channel. This is the Interstellar Song Contest reviewed. Please watch the story first before watching this because there is some crazy reveals in it. That's your warning, so let's get into it with saying the Rani is back. And it is just unbelievable. Early on in the season, I heard a leak and it was something like, we're going to get a Rani bigeneration, and I thought, there's no way, that's such a ludicrous idea, I disregarded it. Well, it turns out it's true, a Rani bigeneration. The fact the Rani is returning is interesting. A week ago I watched Dimensions in Time, just for the sake of it, which actually worked very well in my favour, because it was a little refresher as to the last time we knew where the Rani was. If you count that as canon. Anyway, we're going to move away from the Rani stuff for a little bit. We'll come back to that all in good time, because we should start just with the story, and we're going into the finale after this. I couldn't help myself. If I've kept the thumbnail, it was one with this song is ending. I just thought, even if that isn't true with Shudigatwa, the season's ending, so that can be the song. And I just thought it would be a clever little line to include, because obviously that was said when Tennant was leaving, and Interstellar Song Contest songs. Yep, genius from me, I know. Story starts, well, I'm talking quickly. I am sure a lot of YouTubers are going to be as sort of pumped as I am, so if you've chosen to watch my video, thank you so much. While you're here, please subscribe. Let's get to 1,000 subs. It's a big milestone, but every little sub helps. So, the story starts with Rylan, who is, I'm sure he's famous in the UK. I haven't heard of him before, but that's fine. He is brought out of like some, sorry, my hair's a mess. I've literally just finished watching the episode, but yeah, Rylan is brought out of a cryogenic chamber or something, and I heard that would be the case. People were kind of poking fun at it, saying a bit like Walt Disney. Walt Disney didn't appear. But yeah, we go into the song contest. It's starting, and at this point, the special effects are incredible. I heard this was the most expensive story they have ever made, and you can see why. It was just a spectacle, this one, and I can tell going back and watching this in the years to come will be amazing. But the Doctor and Belinda arrive, and, well, they're happy to stay, and we're about to get into the song contest, but there's a little bit of stuff with the security, and there's this woman that's sort of in charge of it. The actress is really good, I don't remember her name, but there's kind of the stuff going on with these droids. We go into the title sequence, and once we're out of it, they're getting some technical difficulties, and I'm not actually going to be able to go into the plot points blow by blow. We're also getting quite a lot of stuff with Mrs. Flood around this time, and yeah, I heard a lot of stuff about Anita Dobson, the character, would be revealed in this episode, so I kind of thought maybe they'd do it early on and she'd have some involvement. That wasn't the case. It got revealed right at the end, but yeah, it's about 10 minutes into the episode or something that kid, I think his name is, the guy with the horns, bursts the bubble, pops it actually, that's his favourite genre of music, and 100,000 people all get sucked out, and it looks like they've died in space, they're frozen. It turns out they've actually been preserved or whatever, and yeah, the Doctor is among them, so we think, oh, maybe he's dead. Oh, we didn't actually think he was dead, but Belinda did, and she's very emotional about it, and the acting from Virada Sethu is really good. And she's with Cora, and like some guy that works for her. So around this time as well, we're introduced to Gary and Mike, who are trying to get into the box, but that's where the Doctor and Belinda had arrived, so they couldn't get out, but they couldn't get in there, but it's a good thing for them, because it saved them from getting sucked out into space. I'm not going to talk heaps more about the plot, because, in honesty, the plot is pretty wafer thin. It is just, Kid is a bit pissed that his race's horns are being used to flavour honey, and there's the twist that Cora is also one of that race, which was a bit of a predictable twist. But it's right, because that's not really the point. It's the point that we're meant to feel bad for these guys. I don't really feel bad for them because we've known it. I didn't even know this race existed until about 5-10 minutes into the episode. So the fact that they're trying to make us feel bad for them is a bit... I don't really think that was effective. But yeah, the plot is not that sophisticated. It's the fairly straightforward base under siege. I like that... Ultimately, with stories like these, you kind of rely on the window dressing of them, the execution, and the execution was top-notch. It has a bit of that campness to it, which I think we all expected, but it was never at a level which sometimes Season 24 stories with Sylvester McCoy, sometimes those went a bit too far. Even if I was a fan of that era, I think we can admit maybe they took it a bit too far sometimes with Richard Byers and Ken Dodd and all these guys. But here, it's a good balance. Even with the songs, which I was a bit worried about how much of the singing there would be, it was an okay amount. So, yeah, the Doctor is brought back to the ship with a confetti cannon, but it's around this time that he's sort of has a burst of life, because it seems like he's being frozen, but he suddenly has this burst of life as Susan. His granddaughter Susan, of course, who we haven't seen since 1983 in the Five Doctors. She is now in his head, and look, I was expecting her to return at some point. It was inevitable, right? Especially when Caroline Ford was doing interviews last year saying, "Oh, I'd love to return to Doctor Who." You'd clearly returned to Doctor Who and done some filming, but I understand you have to preserve the mystery. So that is an interesting element, and it certainly kept me involved. Once you see Susan, you really that really hooks me into it, because before that I was just thinking it's fairly straightforward. I was thinking maybe the Mrs. Flood stuff is going to get solved, but yeah, there's a lot to talk about. I'm kind of going all out of order. The Doctor, he does something, because the Delta Wave is trying to kill all the trillion people, but the Doctor does something, and we have this great direction as he's clutching his head with Gary and the other guy, and I don't really know what's going on at this point, but the way that was executed was really good. And the Doctor then sort of talks over the intercom with Kid, and it's such a good exchange. And this darker side of shooting out, well, this suits him. It's been a lot of stories where I'm not sure how he wants to do the Doctor, but there's been a couple of times when he's done this darker side. In Boom, there was brief glimpses of that, particularly in Dot and Bubble at the end. There was that darker side of his Doctor, but this story, for the most part, him being dark is just, that is how I think Shudigatwa should play it. That is his strength. Although he does the silly sides of it well, I think a little bit of campness, mainly around quite a dark portrayal, is what suits Shudigatwa. So I'm hoping there's more of that, particularly in the finale. The Doctor then gets the Kid, and he starts using all this hologram stuff to work his way around. He uses the sonic screwdriver about 50 times, so that's a bit of a cop-out, and he starts tasering or something, Kid torturing him, and it's a really good moment, because when Belinda walks in, even after he's had Susan in his head telling him to stop, he doesn't. When he has Belinda walk in, he suddenly realises he's gone too far. It reminds me a little bit of the Time Lord Victorious, the Doctor just seeing a face and it making him realise he needs to stop. I'm hoping this doesn't just get forgotten about. I'm hoping there is a bit more of this dark side of the Doctor. He said he still had that coldness in his heart or whatever, so I'm hoping there is more of that, particularly in a high stakes finale we're going into. And I'm just checking now along the timeline, because it all sort of gets wrapped up with Kid around the 35-minute mark. It's a 50-minute story. It's quite a long ending, actually, because once Kid gets arrested or whatever, the Doctor has to bring back everyone, and he's doing so, and we don't see any Sea Devils getting brought back to life, but oh well, there's only so much you can hope for. Well, actually, to be honest, I didn't want that to happen. It was a bit weird there were Sea Devils in this. I don't really know why they chose them, other than the fact that they're going to be in the spin-off next year, but there's the song sung by Cora, and I mean, it's no Abigail's song, but it's a nice moment. What I'm going to say about Abigail's song as well, the reason it was on my mind is because is Belinda's theme just the Abigail song? Because every time sort of something happens with Belinda, I hear notes of Abigail's song, which is from the Christmas Carol. It's really weird, but it's not a bad thing. I've wondered a couple of times, and it happened in Lux as well, why notes of Abigail's song play when Belinda does anything. Is Belinda Abigail's relative or something? Probably not. I don't see how that could even happen, but it's just a weird observation. Everyone's been brought back to life. Yet there's the song, and we see glimpses of the world, and it's all nicely done. It's all well directed. No complaints there. I just don't think, were they really expecting us to have any emotional attachment with these characters? Unless you're a rhino and you can kind of relate to getting your horns cut off, then it's, I don't really think there's enough depth to it. It feels, even though it's well sort of fleshed out, that race towards the end, I think the revelation of the guy wanting to get revenge, it doesn't really mean anything, so it feels a bit lazy to me. That's just me. I'm sure other people will probably disagree. The Doctor and Belinda have a long walk towards the TARDIS saying this, and that, and that's when I thought Mrs. Flood was going to just step in front of them and then have a big confrontation, because it felt like that was dragging on a little bit. But no, they go to the TARDIS, there's all this stuff going wrong, and then they're thinking, yeah, May 24th, that's a problem, because at this point as well, I forgot to mention Graham Norton, the hologram of Graham Norton appears in this, and it's a shame that, because when the Doctor said, I recognise you, I thought, oh, they're going to link it back to Time of Angels? Are they going to link it back to Rose? No, it's just some time on Brighton Pier or something, so it's a bit random, but yeah, great seeing Graham Norton. And he tells the Doctor and Belinda, the sort of hologram of him, because it's just using his voice, he's dead. It talks about how Earth, it was destroyed in a second, which I think that's a little bit of a clue as to what's going on, because the Doctor says that Gallifrey was destroyed in a second a bit earlier, so I think they're trying to set up a bit of a link there, particularly if Mrs. Flood, well, particularly since Mrs. Flood is a Time Lord, who she ends up being. But the ending, yeah, it is quite long. I gotta say though, at this point, with all the stuff in the TARDIS happening, it was very turn left with the Bad Wolf reveal. I really, at that moment for about 1 to 2 minutes when they're in the TARDIS, and actually from around the time Graham Norton says that the Earth was destroyed, that sort of 2 minutes there, the excitement I felt, honestly, I don't think I felt watching Doctor Who for a long time. I'm really excited for the finale. It's a shame there's only 2 episodes left, but going into them, I feel very enthusiastic about the show right now, and it ends there, or so we think, but it goes back to Gary, and I keep forgetting his name when I have a look now. Is it Mike or something? Gary and Mike will say, and they unfreeze, or they do whatever to bring Mrs. Flood back, but she starts regenerating, and it's, yes, it is the talking point of the story. And how do I feel about it? You know, the bigeneration is not something I'm a massive fan of, but in some ways, if Mrs. Flood regenerated and we didn't get to see her really as the Rani, that would have been a shame. But also, the new woman playing the Rani, who I need to find out her name, she was really good. She only had about 1.5 minutes, but instantly I saw her as the Rani. Kate O'Mara is like Roger Delgado. She'll never, as the original, she will not be topped. But this new Rani, if there's 2 of them, Mrs. Flood, she's alright, Anita Dobson, whatever. But this new Rani actress, I instantly bought her as the Rani. And I'm happy with that, because I had thought, if they bring back the Rani, is it going to be a convincing portrayal? But no, this new one, I'm looking forward to seeing more of her. Having 2 Ranis is a bit of a weird thing. And if any Time Lord is going to bigenerate, I could buy it being the Rani, since she kind of works with biology and things. So that's not a massive problem, but yeah, bigeneration I've never been a huge fan of, and I don't really want them to make that a regularity in the show. But yeah, the Rani reveal, when I saw the reveal, it was on a Reddit post, and people just theorising, and I kind of realised it was actually a leaked thread. So by the time I realised that, I went to click off it, but during that, I did see someone saying about a Rani bigeneration, but I thought, there's no way. That's one of the most ludicrous things I've ever thought. The whole Mrs. Flood mystery, when it first started, we were all, I think a lot of us were thinking, oh, it's just going to be the Rani, isn't it? But I pushed past that. I thought, it's not going to be the Rani, it's going to be someone a bit more interesting than that. It's the Rani, so I'm not deflated about that, but it's a bit like, oh yeah, surprise, surprise, the Rani's back. It was probably the most predictable person to bring back. They weren't going to bring back the Master, I think, or maybe the Master will return, but I didn't think Mrs. Flood would be the Master. So, yeah, that is the reveal, and, well, there we go. No trailer for the next story, which makes sense. The Wish World is the next one, and I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I think it could be a very good opener to the finale. The Legend of Ruby Sunday last year was a great opener, so I'm hoping for the same here, but we'll find out. So overall, I would say a story where the plot wasn't sophisticated, but it didn't need to be. This was about the visuals, and I thought the visuals were very good. It's the most expensive story, and you can see why. It had a good cast, soundtrack was good. It was, again, a little bit loud in places with the sentimental stuff, but that's par for the course, isn't it, at this point? So, I think, in terms of a rating out of 10, it's not as good as some of the other ones in the season, just because I think the plot is not up there with some of the other ones. Even if I did really enjoy this one, it definitely held my attention more than even something like the story in the engine. As good as I thought that was, in terms of the way it was executed, occasionally it lost me at times. This one kept my attention the full way through. So, for that, I'm going to be giving it a 7.5 out of 10. It's not an 8 out of 10, just something like Lux or Lucky Day or the story in the engine. Those are the 8 out of 10s of the world. So, I would say this is it's actually going to be my probably second least favourite story of the season, but that's not a bad thing. It's just that this season we have had a lot of really good stories. So, some crazy reveals in this one. There's a lot to talk about, and yeah, the next couple of weeks are going to be interesting with the finale. Overall, I would say I'm happy that the Rani's returning. It just, of course, depends how it's executed. With Sutek last year, everyone was happy, but maybe the execution of Sutek's return wasn't perfect. That's just for me, at least. But yeah, exciting times going into the finale. What were your thoughts on the Interstellar Song Contest? Did you have high expectations going into it? Were you a bit worried? I'll be interested to find out. For now, please do consider liking and subscribing. It would mean a lot. And interesting times to be a Doctor Who fan. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.